I think TikTok is dead. I think that ever since they got bought out, they have become a pay-to-play platform.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Building Business Podcast. My name is Dixon, and today we are joined by one of my personal favorite colleagues, Shelby Giles. Hello, Shelby. Welcome.
What's up? I'm so excited to be here, mainly because I feel like I've been around so many people lately who don't know about social media, so I'm so excited to talk about it.
Yeah, 100%. Shelby is, for anyone that doesn't know her, she's all over our social page. Shelby manages our social media and influencer campaigns here at JobNimbus. She's often right off camera for most of these types of productions, so she's been very deep in the trenches with us and building content. She also has a really cool background. I've worked pretty closely with her over the last almost year that I've been at JobNimbus, and it's love having her share her wisdom. What she brings to the table is super valuable. So talking about your background a little bit, I do have to kind of hype you up for a second. Shelby's got tons of experience working in social. So she's run social accounts for restaurants, for clothing brands, for Crumble Cookies, a Utah giant here. And obviously right now she's here with us at JobNimbus. So Shelby, I'm going to kick it off really quick with a question. What has been the most fulfilling part of your work so far in your career?
Okay, so my career has taught me a lot because each place that I worked was so different. Like working in the restaurant industry or working with a brick and mortar store, the way you track those leads is like literally people coming into your business. With Crumble Cookies, it was different because we were tracking engagement, commenting, likes, shares, certain things like that. Here at JobNimbus, it's different because we're tracking revenue. Like everything is revenue based here. So it's just very different forms of social media, and it's taught me a lot. The most fulfilling part for me is the numbers. I love the numbers game because it actually is proof that social media is working, not just some, oh yeah, social media is there and like I'm getting likes and shares, yes, but like what's really happening? What's making you post on socials and why is that helping your business?
Yeah, it's kind of like I like to hit on like the differences in what you've done. If you're talking about like in the restaurant or hospitality industry, your actual deliverable isn't, or like the actual thing that your audience gets is not a click or is not like a link or anything they can go to and look at. It's time in the actual store. The
deliverable is saves, shares. Hey, I'm sending it to your friend. Hey, I want to go to this place. That's the goal with those ones.
Yeah. Yeah, because when you're looking at like success, right? Like at JobNimbus, we're a B2B SaaS company. And so like we measure our success and our progress based on how contractors who aren't using JobNimbus or JobNimbus users are interacting with our content and how they're clicking and how they're engaging with posts. It's different across different industries, and I think that's to that point. It's super valuable that you bring a wide variety of experiences. Some of it's more immediate. Some of it is like, if you're making content that's geared towards clicks, it's different than making content geared towards, hey, come visit us in the store, right, or hey, come shop this deal, or that kind of thing.
Or like what we're talking about today, contractors. Contractors aren't brick and mortar businesses. You're not wanting somebody to come to your office and talk to you about roofing. You want them to go, oh, I'm seeing this post, maybe my roof has a problem, and then you want them to call your business or click on the link to get a free inspection or a free estimate on their roof.
Yeah, I've had a front row seat since last summer, seeing how hard you work. You work day in and day out. You're usually first one here, last one out. When it comes to creating content and owning a channel and driving that from start to finish, meaning like content ideas to reporting and deliverables on that. What are some things that you look for? I guess like I'm curious for some of our viewers and listeners who don't know what it's like to like own outright an entire social channel. What are some of your key goals in identifying what you need to get to post and how do you drive your content that way?
Yeah. So like we talked about earlier, it's definitely based on your business, right? But generally with social media, what you're looking for is DMs, comments, likes, shares. Those 4 things are like going to be your main deliverables. Those 4 things are also trackable. With the analytics, the analytic pages on all social platforms, you can view those things. Super helpful. When it comes to deliverables about like filming and such, I'm one of those people that is like, film everything. You're gonna get the content either way, and you can use it for different purposes.
So what are some of the things that you, how do you approach content like that so that way you are making sure that you get content for multiple purposes?
For me, I like to do like 4 main things. If we're at a job site, for example, I like to get behind the scenes stuff. So like what everyone's doing behind the scenes. And then it really depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to pain point market, you're going to get certain things that you know the customer is going to want to see. For roofers, for an example, they're going to want to film the damage on the roof and what homeowners are getting an inspection for, to be like, these are the things that are wrong with your roof, and this is why you need a roof replacement. So getting those pain points of don't wait till your roof is leaking, get an inspection now, that sort of thing helps. Behind the scenes to show that you're a real business and that you're actually doing the job, you're really running your contracting business. Hey, this is us doing the job. Other than that, I really like trendjacking.
Okay, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. We've been hearing for a while now that like contractors need to be on social. Kind of simple as that. And if they are not on social, if they're not like diving into some of these channels, they're gonna get left behind really fast. What is your take on that? Do you agree with that? Do you disagree with that? I'm curious kind of what your take is and maybe why.
My take is that you're still going to be able to run your contracting business even if you're not on social media. That is not anybody's main lead source. We've reviewed it. Like, if you guys haven't seen this, Peak Performance, it's great. It has a lot of data. Peak Performance shows that like we did a homeowner survey, not like social media is not the #1 lead source by far.
It's generally generating like a handful of leads per week, whereas like referrals are generating a much larger percentage of that.
Right. But if you think about it this way, the new generation is on social media all the time. What do I do when I get, like, I am Gen Z. Like, what do I do when I get home? I scroll on TikTok. I scroll on Instagram. You know what I'm seeing on there all the time? Ads. I'm seeing content that is related to me. I know you've heard me say this, but like our phones listen to us all the time. As soon as I'm done with this podcast, I'm sure I'm gonna get marketing ads because I'm talking about marketing. But that's your chance. Like when people are scrolling on social media, that is your chance to catch their eye and for them to click on your profile, click on your links, see your company.
Yeah. So social is a way for organic social, let me specify, like posting on your channels, posting on your accounts. That's a way to do a few things. We did a webinar, you and I did, a few weeks ago, and we talked about building trust with homeowners specifically. I think a big reason homeowners do a lot of shopping around when they need services like these, specifically with roofing. A lot of it's just, I don't know what I don't know. And so I don't know what a damaged roof looks like. I don't know what I should be looking for. And I think part of that is social is a vehicle by which you can build some of that trust and educate and connect with people, not just online. Like when we talk about online, like it could be people in your zip codes that you're servicing, right? So if you're a local roofer, local contractor, or if you're, franchised out and you have, you're servicing tons of zip codes across the country or beyond.
Can I bring up John the Roof Pro right now?
Yeah, of course. I think he's someone that does it. He does it really well, and I want to talk about specifically why.
Yes. So before I was in the roofing industry, like before I came to JobNimbus, I had no idea about roofing. Like absolutely zero knowledge. The second day on the job, I was like, get me on a job site because I can't market to roofers if I don't know what the heck
100%.
they're doing. So got on the job site, learned more about roofing. Yes, great, perfect. That's what John Cenac does well. John the Roof Pro Online teaches homeowners what they should be looking for. He shows them different kind of vents that they can put on the roof, what the differences are between them. He will show them different kind of shingles and what each one does and what environment each one is made for. He'll also show you like what problems roofs can have, gutters can have, siding can have. he shows the homeowner the problems, and that's where they get interested. Because how many people actually want to learn about roofs? Probably not a lot. However, how many people own homes and want to learn what they can prevent?
Right. I'm a recent homeowner, and aside from like being on a roof, helping a neighbor redo his roof, 10, 15 years ago, I have very little experience with any sort of roofing material, any sort of process, anything like that. So for me, I'm probably not going to notice an issue until it's like a really big issue.
Right.
And so that just kind of goes to show that like a majority of homeowners do not know what they're looking for. And so if you are able to build trust in a way that maybe calms their nerves a little bit, maybe that allows them to know that you're a trusted source in the community, I think that's a great way to do that. So that's all like content, like that a content strategy of John Cenac or John the Roof Pro is to educate and to show homeowners maybe, and honestly to add credibility that like, yeah, maybe they don't know what to look for, but there are professionals that do.
Yeah. If you want to get into trust, that's where UGC really comes in.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about that as well. So like we're talking about different types of content or like diversifying content. What are some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I see so many people posting their reviews online. That's good. We love to see reviews online. What I don't love to see is graphics, because any social media manager will tell you right now, video is where it's at. Graphics are dead, video is getting pushed. If you're not posting video, your account's gonna die. So with that, all of these reviews that you're getting in are great. They're great content. What's even better is if you can get the person who reviewed you to post about you. Mm-hmm. Do you want to hear a crazy example?
Absolutely.
So I have this friend. He owns a roofing company out here in Utah. The company's name is King Roofing. So they were in my neighborhood probably 6 weeks ago. And I saw one of their trucks, and I went up to the crew because I know some of them. And I was like, hey guys, what's up? I can't believe you're in my neighborhood. They're like, you live here? Yes, I live here. Okay. I started talking to them. I was like, oh, this is so cool. How'd you find your roofing company? And my neighbor was like, oh, I reached out to people around the neighborhood. They recommended this company. Awesome, perfect. We love referrals. Referrals are great generators. Mm-hmm. He got online because he loved the company and what they were doing so much. Like, he was like, they were so fast, they were so quick, they responded to all of my questions, they were very communicative, even in person. They didn't make a mess of his yard, they cleaned up after themselves. The only problem he had was like the dumpster was left there for like a little bit of a longer period than he would have liked, and that was it. So,
and that's like helpful feedback for any business owner, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So he got online and he posted it on his Instagram story. He was like, hey guys, if you need your roof replaced, or if you live in our neighborhood, you might not know your roof needs replaced, but mine did. We trusted King Roofing. Check them out. Tagged them. You know what? King Roofing was back in my neighborhood for the next 3 weeks doing houses, because everybody in the neighborhood didn't realize like we had roof damage.
Right.
No one looks for that. I don't look for that. But because somebody else posted in the neighborhood like, hey, my roof needed replaced, maybe yours does too.
Right.
Maybe get a free inspection.
Yeah, and like tapping into the voice of an actual customer, an actual homeowner. I started my career in the supplement world, and UGC, user-generated content, was absolutely where we, it's where we shined. You had real users of real products that were talking about benefits, that talked about, maybe some of the things that they had to figure. I don't know, like some. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, when you hear the voice of a real user or a real consumer of something, that adds credibility in a way that no employee-generated content, no business owner-generated content is going to do for you.
I mean, this is what I'll tell you. It all goes back for me to like my time at Crumble Cookies. Look for user-generated content and respond to comments. Because if you're being tagged and stuff, that means people are talking about you. Whether it's negative or positive, you need to respond back so people know you're active and like you actually care. And then 2, user-generated content. If you're looking for these users who are raving fans about your cookies or your roof, like your roofing services.
Or just like they love working with that company.
Right. They like, if they are talking about your company, you need to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Either post it on your page, comment, share it, make sure they feel seen and that you've acknowledged them for that, because that's a big deal.
Yeah, and it's one of the ways that organic social really shines, right? Like if you're running an ad campaign through Meta or through Google, you have reach. You're paying for all of those impressions. You're paying for every set of eyes or every account that your content reaches. When you do this in an organic way, meaning you have real users talking about your product, your company, and this goes for all industries across the map. Like if they're talking about it, it's free impressions, so you're not having to pay for all the eyes that are looking at your stuff, and it really does establish you as more of a voice in that industry, whether it's local or national or whatever it might be. It's what we call brand equity, right? So you're building up this value of your brand where you become more of a household name, especially within certain communities. I mean, I grew up in a relatively small town outside of Austin, Texas, where there were not too many pool manufacturers. Like, there were not too many companies that did your pool or your tile or your roofs in those zip codes. And so people knew who to go to in town. And as more and more started popping up, it became more of this, okay, well, this person's been around the longest, or this person is new, but they do the best work, or whatever it might be. So like, if you have that brand equity, it's a little bit easier to control that and a little bit easier to like maintain your spot on the podium, if you would.
It's actually really easy to incentivize customers to give you a review or post about you. Honestly, some of the time you can just ask and they'll do it. They just need to be asked because they don't know that you want that. But if you tell them, hey, this would be really beneficial for my company, my business, they're more than willing to do it most of the time if they like you guys. The other thing you can do, and I've done it with other companies, is like a little bit of a discount, a little bit of a perk. Like, if you do this, we'll give you this. It's really easy.
Yeah, you have to be proactive in that way. You have to make sure, one, I mean, I would honestly say that like, it's super important to just make sure they have a great experience. Because if they have a great experience, they're going to give you a review when you ask.
Don't ask the angry customer.
Absolutely.
Ask the one that's happy with you. And the way you can make them the happiest is over communication, always. And that comes through social media too. Answering that DM, not letting it sit in your DM box for a week. Mm-hmm. Easy.
Even laying it out, right? Like, I know that there are some companies out there that are really great about educating on their own processes. Hey, like this is what you get when you call King Roofing, or this is what you get when you call Kanga Roof, or whoever it is, right? Like, you know, you're going to get someone responding within this time frame. This is what we do. We do an inspection. We do this whole list of things, and then over communicating, especially when you're on their roof, ripping shingles off or putting new ones on. Over communicating so that way they know exactly how long you're going to be up there, what you're doing, kind of how much they need to be aware of that. I think those are all things that you can do on social. But that being said, like a lot of things we can do, a lot of things that work better, some things work not as well. What are some things that you've seen contractors do content-wise that is really winning these days?
I actually love when contractors use this thing that I call trendjacking. You can find this on CapCut templates. If you don't know about CapCut, it's an editing tool. It's really helpful. Or if you're just scrolling through social media, you see the same sound over and over again, you see the same kind of themes over and over again in a video, you can use that to your advantage and switch it to your business. There's a bunch of people who do this really great. Duolingo does this really well. If they know that something's going viral online immediately, they jump on that trend, their video gets picked up with that trending content, it gets shown more.
That's actually, I love that you brought that up. I have, there are people that I know personally who over COVID started only doing that. They run I believe it's a real estate group in Northern California, and they started just participating in all like the TikTok trends at the time. And they kind of took them and spun. It's a family-owned group. I believe it's just a few brothers and their dad, and they have made an insane splash online because all they're doing. We all know like they're just doing funny stuff online. They're mimicking trends. They're using funny audio, all that stuff that like we see and we're consuming. But they do real estate, and they're not doing walkthroughs. They're not doing anything like that. It's interesting to see that like something maybe a little bit disconnected from the actual trend. Like maybe if you are a contractor and you think, oh, this trend isn't for me, or oh, this doesn't really like showcase my business, I think you might be surprised. I think that taking a look at, humor or just being more human, some of those elements are pretty crucial to building some of that like human trust. Because then I know that if I go to your company, if you're a contractor and you're active online and you're being funny and you're being yourself, I know that there's probably an element of that I can expect in my actual interactions with you.
You know what team in the contracting industry actually does this great? The Roofing Insights team. When I see them at trade shows or when I see their content online, specifically their trade show content, it is always trendjacking. It's their team going through social media, finding videos that are going viral, and then recreating them for their team and their business and their brand. They do it so well. Also, not to build his ego even more, but John Cenac also does trendjacking, and it works really well for him. I mean, I've seen him in a pair of heels standing on a roof one-legged because that was the trend at the time.
Right. And again, it goes to show you that like authenticity and human connection, it's a little bit trickier now with so much AI and so much content out there, but it goes to show that it makes a difference, right? Like John being able to be himself, Roofing Insights to be able to like add some humor and some cultural relevance to what they're doing. It's the same idea. We just don't recognize it, right? And I think that's part of it too. Like if you're looking at trends and you're scrolling or you're consuming social media how you will, just thinking about things in that way of how could this apply to my business, whether I'm a small contractor or an owner-operator setup, or I've got tons of offices everywhere, right? Like that whole spectrum is important to think about, because I think there are ways that we can plug ourselves in.
That's the question to keep asking yourself is like, how could I make this trend for my business?
I mean, it's what we do on our side too, right? I mean, JobNimbus does that. We do it to an extent. We're always looking at content and how can we fit into this? How can we make this for us? How can we do this for our users? All those questions are being asked all the time.
You asked how I'm seeing contractors win on socials. The other main thing I can think of right now is using comments with video. And I know this sounds weird, but
that's a new feature, right?
Yes. Instagram and TikTok both have this feature where you can reply to a comment using a video. This is super helpful when a customer comments. If a customer comments a question, okay, for example, JobNimbus actually just did this recently. We took a comment that was like, where's Tavis? Tavis is one of our employees that works here. I've actually never used him in our content just because he's never actually like spoke out and said, I want to be in a TikTok. So I never put him in it. That's fine. But when that comment came, I was like, this is our chance to connect with the audience. Where's Tavis? All right, Tavis, you're making a TikTok video and you're responding to this comment as a reel. But in a more realistic sense, using it for your customers who are actually curious about, we'll take roofing as our first example, like, hey, this is happening on my roof. What do you think about this? Hey, if my siding is looking like this, what do I do about it? That's an immediate comment to video response, which is so easy because if you know your industry, it's just a selfie video that you can be like, hey, I see your question. This is what my answer would be. If you want, we could give you a free inspection. And then that's how you can pitch your company better. Yeah,
even just answering a question outright. I know that and this is unrelated, but I have recently had some plumbing issues in my house. I have a 100-year-old house, tons of issues popping up, tons of DIY people came before me. I went downstairs one afternoon and saw water leaking from drywall where it shouldn't have been. And my biggest question was not, oh, is this a problem? It was, okay, what are the steps to remedy this, right? Like as someone, I'm not super familiar with drywall or plumbing, especially stuff behind walls. Like it was difficult to identify like where I even needed to start. So I started asking around my family, neighbors, just for people they knew who were plumbers, so I could just start asking questions. I started sending videos, screenshots, things that I was seeing and experiencing, like walking them through kind of my process, and then just to determine like who I needed to call to come out and help me with it, right? Like talk to one plumber who didn't necessarily do that kind of service, so it was important that I knew that so I could call someone who did. And I think it's just, it goes to show that like some of that connection, if it's for a business purpose, if you're just trying to push them to, book some time with me, I'll come out and take a look. Or it gives you the opportunity to also go above and beyond and maybe tell some people, yeah, man, that looks good to me. Like, you don't need to worry about that. Like, this is cool. That's normal, whatever. All those things that maybe put them at ease. So that way they know, because you're also able to build credibility that way too. You're not just looking for every opportunity to necessarily book a job or get on their roof. You're just trying to help where you can. And if helping does mean providing your service, absolutely. And then honestly, yeah, just putting people's minds at ease, helping them understand that, yeah, this is a common problem that has a solution.
Yep.
Goes to show that, like, you know, building trust in that way can be great. I love the idea, especially if it is so-and-so on the job site or in their office or in their truck between appointments or projects. Like, it's super easy to just connect in that simple, clean way. So that's kind of where some contractors are winning with content. Where are some areas that you feel like they're missing? Where are some gaps?
So I'll say it over and over again. I feel like contractors are missing on the graphics. Graphics just aren't getting pushed out anymore. And you can see it on our own feed. Like, I still post graphics occasionally to support certain parts of the organization here. And they'll make me graphics and say, hey, can you post this? Yeah, of course I can. They never perform as well, ever. If you look at our page, there are videos right next to our graphics that we posted. Our graphics probably have 100 views, maybe less. Our videos that we posted have around 400 views, up to like 16K. So that's the difference, is like, you gotta focus on your video content.
Yeah.
And I know it's hard. I know it's scary to be on camera. I get that all the time. But if you focus on video, that's where you're gonna win.
Yeah, I think the reality of it is, if you post too many static images or graphics, it feels like a bulletin board, and it feels like content. In my opinion, it feels
That's
like
what Pinterest was made for.
Exactly, and it's kind of what your website's made for. It kind of feels like they could go to your website to get this information or understand, you know, what your discounts are, what the, you know, whatever it is. But your socials should be kind of where your personality shines, where the tone of your company, where the, you know, what you guys are actually doing in your communities or for homeowners or whatever it might be. It's a snapshot more of who you are and how you operate, rather than just what you're doing.
Yep.
So in your mind, Shelby, for contractors specifically who are not engaging on social, who are not actively posting on social, what do you think maybe are some barriers to that? And maybe where do you think that we could, I guess, what are some ways you feel like they could easily start diving into creating content?
You want to know a funny barrier that I actually think is a real thing?
Mm-hmm.
Contractors are getting their hands dirty all the time. They have gloves on, sometimes they don't, and their hands are just dirty. They don't want to get their phone out and film most of the time. Like, who wants to do that? I'm not saying you need to hire a whole video team. That's kind of crazy as a starting point. What I am saying is find a way where you can record things, whether that's a GoPro on your chest or literally just attaching your phone somewhere where it's like, okay, we're just gonna attach it here so that it films something while I'm working on it, kind of thing. They have tons of tools for that. But actually just starting to film things is your most basic step. Mm-hmm. Next, I would say, ask yourself the question, what does my customer want to see? That's where you focus. Focus on the pain points your customers are having. Literally think about why people call you. Why are they calling you? Is it a leak? Is it they need something fixed? Is it they're missing a gutter? Like, simple things like that. If you're making videos about those things, that's where you get your customers to actually pay attention, because that's what they're dealing with. On average, currently, like, the American time span is 8 to 47 seconds. So if anything,
American attention span?
Attention span.
Okay.
So I would tell people, when you're creating content, make sure that at least every 8 to 47 seconds, you're switching something in your content. Whether that's you start off with a drone footage of the roof that you're working on. Don't let that last for more than 47 seconds, because most Americans, most people, can't watch a video that long. They'll just swipe past it. Mm-hmm. So make sure that you're changing out what they're seeing through this video. Super easy way to do it. Free tool, CapCut. It's downloadable in the App Store on any device. Mm-hmm. There's also a bunch of other editing tools, and you can ask, like, what other editing tools. I really like Canva personally for video editing as well. But mobily, I like CapCut.
Nice.
So that's a really good starter place to just explore. They also have a lot of templates you can use, which then you're not having to create video content all by yourself.
Right. The next phase is also just looking at content you like or that resonates with you, and kind of maybe looking at it from a practical lens of how long are they taking on each of these little shots. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I think there's a lot of desire for imperfect content out there. So don't worry too much about like the exact milliseconds of each cut, but definitely worry about the time frame. Like you want to make sure that they are captive and that they are engaging, and that it's something they actually want to know and is useful to them. Otherwise, they're going to keep scrolling.
I'll put up on screen right now like what one of our most viral videos is for JobNimbus. You can see the frames switching quickly, and it's because people need that switch quickly. But it works, and people pay attention to it because their eyes want to keep watching. Yeah,
and definitely there are some ways that you can avoid some pitfalls. I mean, I think like sometimes people will do, lots of text on the screen for a really short cut. Sometimes that's a little bit confusing. People may scroll past that or pause it or whatever it might be. But yeah, like we see a lot of that where just making sure that you're dialing in that cadence of each of those cuts, super important. I want to talk to you a little bit. I want to get your take a little bit on growing in social media. So I mentioned earlier, but we did a webinar a few weeks ago, and one of the questions that we got that I thought was really quite a great question was, how do I know when to hire someone, or when to maybe stop doing it myself, or like how do I know when it goes from just a me thing of filming to I need to get someone to help me with this? What are your thoughts on growing a team like that?
So JobNimbus is actually a great example of that. Last year, they were kind of passively doing social media, and that's fine. But I think they realized that it can have impact, and that's when I came on board. And if you want to see the statistics, I can show you why you hire somebody. JobNimbus's engagement increased by 209%. Their impressions increased by 522%. Their links to the website increased by 167%. And in net audience growth, they gained 7,570 followers. That's a huge jump. I feel like the when here is when you don't have time. It's when your DMs are filled and you're missing leads because of that. That literally actually has happened at JobNimbus, where they had somebody in their direct messages or their messenger, and they said like, hey, I want to learn more about JobNimbus. Messaged them back too late. Oh, guess what? They went with one of the competitors. Literally because we didn't answer a DM fast enough. If you're leaving leads on the table, that's probably when you should hire someone to actually be responsible for social media.
Yeah, I love the question. I think your response is spot on. Ultimately, it's a matter of priority. If you know that you've got content to post and no time to, create it, edit it, throw it up there, and then report out on it, we have data that shows that posting consistently, posting really clear, actionable content, it really makes an impact, right? So we talk about link clicks, we talk about actual leads generated. Yeah, you're right. If we're leaving messages unread, if we're leaving questions unanswered, if we know we should be posting stuff but we can't, those are great signs to consider maybe hiring someone part-time, maybe to start, maybe someone to consult, show you kind of maybe what you could be doing, what a process maybe looks like. You don't necessarily have to dive in full bore and hire a whole team to do it. So start slow.
If you can't reserve an hour of your day to run your social media, that's probably when you know. I've actually been talking, I have other companies that I still help out with, and one of the companies I just went to, I asked them like what they're doing, what their basic knowledge is of social media and things. The two things I was most surprised about was that they didn't know about the brand kit in Canva. And if you don't know about the brand kit in Canva, you can literally put in your brand colors, your brand text, your logo, and you can make graphics and templates in Canva, even videos, in your colors, in your style, That is so important if you want to keep on brand.
Huge time saver as well.
Huge time saver. You can literally, there's a button on there that is literally shuffle the colors to match my brand.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do any work to change anything.
Yeah, there are definitely some AI tools or tools with some AI features that are making that easy. Another thing that I want to bring up is just like, if you want to get ahead of the curve and want to stop doing things passively and want to start doing things more proactively in terms of staying with trends, trendjacking, just staying relevant and not letting those things kind of pass you by. That's also a great time to consider growing the team a little bit.
The second thing they're learning, and they're literally just starting out their social media, so it's okay. Everyone's in a learning phase, right? They didn't know they could schedule content, and that is huge. This will
That's
save you.
That's a massive time saver.
This will save you so much time. It saves me so much time every week.
Yeah.
Because you can film a bunch of content on one job site. You can sit down for an hour, maybe 2 if you have the time, edit some videos, go into the Instagram app, click more when you're posting. It'll bring up a scheduling button, schedule that content. It's the same thing with TikTok. If you download the TikTok Studio app, you can schedule content.
Right.
The Meta Business Suites, you can schedule content there. There's so many ways you can do it without like a paid platform doing it, but that will save you so much time.
So even if we're thinking logistically or practically of like, okay, maybe I don't have the budget to hire someone full time. Maybe I bring someone on part-time to just generate the content and schedule it. And then maybe I still have some time to go in and reply to DMs or comments, things like that. There are great ways to kind of dip your toes into the water and see kind of what your actual, what the need is there. Maybe if you have a lot of DMs or you don't, there are lots of different ways to kind of figure out the best approach.
There are also a lot of video and social media contractors out there.
Yeah.
You can hire somebody to come out on a job site and get a ton of footage all in one day. You can also hire social media contractors who literally are hired to edit the videos for social media, schedule you a month in advance out, because most scheduling platforms actually won't let you schedule more than a month out. But you can hire them to do that for a month. If it goes well, great.
Yeah, I also think that like a little like inside baseball here, like as someone who's done some freelance social media contract work, they're all using tools that help them stay organized as well. So if you have the time or want to dive into maybe some social media tools like Rella, Sprout Social, just a few, we can obviously ask us questions if you have questions about those, but there are plenty of tools out there that help with that specific thing. You're able to get closer reporting insights, things of that nature. Shelb, the words process and optimization are like, they are so readily used in our industry. I'm curious because we talked a lot about content, we've talked a lot about ways that they can do things, but I don't think any of this really matters if they don't have any sort of process or organization around it. You built a lot of things or changed a lot of things with the JobNimbus content process. What are some ways that we can apply those learnings to contractors or how they're running their businesses?
So I'll talk about my process that I very first started out with the social media world, and it was on my own channel. This is when I was just starting out. This is the process. You need to set aside 1 to 2 hours to either film or edit content. That's a starting point.
Every day or every week?
Every week, at least. Scheduling content, huge into the process because it's time saver. Checking your DMs daily. Set aside a time, 9 a.m., right when you get in. Normally, people who are running a business are checking their emails every day, so just check your DMs every day too. Don't leave those leads on the table. Also, weekly, or if you don't have time for weekly, a monthly review of your social media.
Yeah, that's big.
And even if you aren't going into the analytics page and looking really deep, like even if you're just like scorecard, hey, look at all the content we posted this month. What did really well?
Yeah, how many people viewed it? How many people liked it? Did we get any clicks on those links?
Right. Repeat that content. Don't repeat the content that's not doing well. And I'm a bad example of that because sometimes I still post content that like doesn't do well.
Yeah.
But it's because I have that content and I'm like, I want to use it.
Yeah, don't be afraid to post things, even if you know that like, yeah, maybe this one's not going to get the most engagement. Like,
right.
Maybe
But
toy with it. Toy with the timing. Toy with maybe when you post it.
If you're really looking for that engagement, though, copy what has done well for you and keep going with that.
I think that I also want to add that none of this is really done well without systems. So whether you are using, a scheduling app or,
Literally, okay, when I started, I used a calendar, like a written weekly to monthly calendar.
I can confirm you wrote things out on sticky notes and calendars.
And just that is so helpful to look and see, okay, if I'm posting, people can see my content these days. Oh, I haven't posted then. I haven't done this. Like, it's being proactive instead of passive. Like, proactive posting on social media instead of just like passively like, oh yeah, I could post this.
Yeah.
If you're proactive about it, consistency is king. I say this all the time. If you are consistent on social media, you will do well because the algorithm of all of the social platforms loves when you post frequently.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, ultimately like a good system, something that you can maybe document your process easily with.
Yeah.
You know exactly when and how long, when to go in and do the task, how long that task will take you. That's honestly, it's going to help you across the board because it'll help you get clearer reporting out on that content performance. And then also just kind of help you divide your time up a little bit better. Going back to like platforms, I'm curious, going into 2026, the social media landscape changes drastically and very quickly sometimes. I want to know how you approach choosing what content or what platform to focus on, and maybe how you go about identifying what's working and what's not.
This is my personal opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. I think TikTok is dead. I think that ever since they got bought out, they have become a pay-to-play platform. It's very promotional. So
Meaning you have to pay to boost your posts
yes,
to get
to
the
actually get
engagement you want.
views. All of the companies, all of the people that I talk to, I have a lot of influencer friends, okay? A lot of them. I've talked to them and they're like, I'm stuck in 300 view jail. Shelby, I have 100,000 plus followers. Why am I stuck here?
I like literally am only getting 300 or so views
Yes.
on a video.
So if I was to tell contractors right now in what, March? Is it?
Yeah, March.
Yes, March 2026, okay? I would focus your efforts on Meta, so Instagram and Facebook, and then also YouTube Shorts. It's where the younger generation is living. My younger siblings on YouTube Shorts a lot.
Really?
Yes. So I would focus your energy there because that's where businesses are.
I think it's also really important to understand who your customer base is as well. For us, previously I've worked on teams in the supplement industry that were very Instagram and TikTok focused for various reasons. They were targeting a certain age or gender demographic that lived on a certain platform. So maybe like test some things out, try some things out, maybe post the same video across a couple different platforms and kind of see. But the short answer is you don't have to be focusing on all of them.
And that's what we call Gen X marketing. And if you want to do that, if you want to do Gen X marketing, it is literally post the same content all over the same pages. I do it a lot because it saves time. It's content, period. You don't have to put a lot of thought into it. And it still gets you that consistency on your pages. I love that style, especially when you're starting out.
Okay, so we've talked about trendjacking a little bit already. Do I have your attention?
Yeah, go for it.
Are you with us? So we've talked about trendjacking a little bit. How would you go about it? Identifying what trends to look at, maybe how to find some of those trends. What's your take?
Okay, so one, it's just an average scroll on the Reels page. Like if you go on the Reels page on Instagram, scroll, you're gonna see repeat things, repeat audios especially.
Yeah.
Pick those up.
In fact,
save them.
Just because you're thinking about this means you're probably gonna pick up on more of those things.
Yes.
Like you're gonna see patterns that you haven't seen before just because we've called this out.
Yes. My fiance calls it vocal stems sometimes.
Yeah.
Like you say these sounds again and again because you've heard it so many times on socials. Use that sound in your video.
Yeah.
The other thing, TikTok actually has this little access to TikTok Studio. If you go to your profile page, you can click on it and then they'll have an inspiration page. They list like 10 videos that they feel like your audience would connect really well to, and then you can start making content based on those videos and audios.
And the reality is some of these styles, some of these editing tricks, they apply to different platforms as well. You can use a lot of similarities. If you see a video that you like or in that like inspiration page, you can also try using that across different channels or different platforms as well. YouTube Shorts is a good one that we've already mentioned. But yeah, I also think that like just being aware of trends, identifying what resonates with you and maybe what resonates with people that you are serving, maybe in your community. I think that's a great place to start as well.
I think I have two other things I want to mention real fast. One is the hook. I think the hook is so important.
Absolutely.
So actually, the video team here, the guys behind the camera that you can't see, do a very good job at this with our podcasts. They'll put a phrase before the intro plays to just kind of preface the podcast itself.
Yeah.
What they do on social media is have something random, even if it's just like, instead of me starting and filming right here, where it's just like, hey guys, if it's me just coming in from this angle and going, hey guys, that's a movement, that's an action that is going to catch people's eye, that's a hook. Something simple like that.
So like either phrasing something in a way where it's like, here's the problem we're going to solve today, or here's what homeowners don't understand about their roofs, or here's what no one knows. I guess, here are some things that you have to do before X, Y, or Z. I mean, I think that there are a lot of different ways that you can educate in that way, but educate in an exciting way where it's like, if you're calling me after you have a roof, if you were calling us after there's already a leak in your roof, you've done it wrong, right? Starting there, like diving into that specific question of like, oh yeah, that's right. I don't actually know when the right time is to call someone.
Yes.
There's an author and marketer out there. His name's John O'Bacon. I've followed him for a while, but he kind of groups content into a few different ideas, or like basically like if you're modeling your content to answer these kinds of questions, you're doing it right. And those questions are, or I guess like those themes are, I didn't know that, that's so me, or I needed that. And if you can do that with your content and show them something they didn't know, show them something that they resonate with that maybe they didn't think about, or have, they see themselves in the content. Those are huge ways to really drive home a message.
I always talk about
viewers.
humor with this too, because
great way to do it.
Like, people love to smile. They love to find something funny and just laugh at it. So I'd say that. And then the second thing I wanted to mention was, I see this a lot, and especially with contractors, and I know I've said it before, but like, they do have a messy job. So a lot of the times they have a messy camera. If you can just take a second to wipe your camera off before you start filming, and then I'm literally gonna show you this. I'm gonna show you the difference between lighting. Say that, I know I'm not outside, but these are like studio lights pointing at me. Say this was the sun. I'm facing towards the sun, so the lighting looks good on the camera. If you face your back this way and the sun is behind you, the lighting doesn't, sorry guys, do you want to be on this? Okay. If you face this way and the lighting's, oh, there's the video team, say hi. If you face this way, the lighting is not as good. You're kind of look low quality at this point. So make sure that you're facing towards the light when you are filming, and that'll make a huge difference, even if you don't have a professional camera.
Shelby, wrapping up, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being on this side of the camera. What are some last takes? What are some last thoughts you want to leave our viewers and listeners?
First of all, follow us on socials at JobNimbus. You can find us, JobNimbus. DM us. This is my full-time job. Like, I am a social media manager. I would love to answer your questions. Our mission here at JobNimbus is making contractors heroes. So if I can answer your DMs about socials and help you create your business better, I would love to help your social media channels thrive. If you don't know what content to post, there is a ton of homeowner data in this book. You can get it free on the JobNimbus website. It's called Peak Performance. Take the homeowner questions in here. Use them for your video content. It could be super helpful in creating content that your homeowner actually needs or wants to see.
Shelby, thanks again for joining us today. If you have any questions, please DM us, comment down below, like and subscribe, follow us at JobNimbus wherever you are consuming social media, and
we'll see you in the DMs.